and let's get right to the Superdome, right where Matt Norlander watched this go down. Matt, your reaction to what you saw there on this night in the Big Easy.
I thought that it was one of Bill Self's defining games as a head coach. This is a man who, in coaching circles, has long been regarded as the elite of the elite. And by that, I mean the first, second, at worst, third best head coach in the entire country. All things considered, how he runs this program. As a pure tactician, his reputation is extremely high. And now he has coached his Jayhawks to a record. They were down 15 at the half. No team had ever come back from a bigger deficit at the break to go on to win a national championship in the title game there. So masterful. And you know what? The way that Kansas was able to do it, in fact, was what we talked about leading into this game on CBS Sports HQ. It wasn't Ochai Agbaji. Leaky Black, even though he got into foul trouble for North Carolina, he had an okay game. McCormick came up big. Jalen Wilson came up big. You had everyone that was of importance, of significance there, getting 12 to 15 points overall. Remy Martin off the bench. You got the bad Remy Martin in the first half, and in the second half, well, it was the full Remy Martin experience. Extremely impressive by Kansas. It has been a team that, yes, Ochai Agbaji has been the star this season. He wins the Final Four Most Outstanding Player. I happen to vote for David McCormick. I thought he earned it after what he did Saturday night. But around Agbaji, you had all these players stepping up, contributing, and the way that Kansas never really wilted in that second half. They came out strong, first 4 minutes out of the break. Big-time stuff for, again, one seed and a Kansas team that, though it was never number one in the polls or in the metrics, Hakeem, it was consistently highly rated, top 5 level, top 10 level the entire season, and their greatness bears out with a big-time come-from-behind win over the Tar Heels.
Matt, give me a sense of the emotion in the building when Kansas jumps out to this 20-6 run, and all of a sudden you're thinking, oh my goodness, here comes Kansas. They're going to win this game.
I'll tell you what, those first few buckets, like Agbaji gets the first possession, drains it right immediately there. And it was like, oh, hello, Jayhawks. And then the way that there were severe pendulum-like mood swings in the first half. Obviously, Carolina makes a big push. And in the first half, it did feel like, man, Manick got conked on the face accidentally by McCormick's elbow. But he stayed in the game, played well. And you just had Kansas continued to push. That second half, I did have a sense when they came out. And in fact, I'll tell you what, when Hubert Davis did his halftime interview with Westwood One, he kept saying 20 more minutes, 20 more minutes, 20 more minutes. And it wasn't just because he was saying that to repeat himself. He knew in his heart of hearts that Kansas had it in him to defend, to shoot. It had the power down low. Bacot clearly was affected by that ankle. All credit to him for putting up, a fabulous performance. And then he twists it in the final minute. Does that affect the final outcome? Who's to say yes or no? And we almost had, one of the all-time gaffes down the stretch when Harris steps on the line. Caleb Love gets a shot. But unfortunately on this night, Caleb Love was 5 for 24, and his 24th and final shot went awry and did not allow us to get to an overtime session.
Yeah, he was not good on this night, and they needed him to be good, and he was not. Instead, it was a great night for Ochai Agbaji and David McCormick, who you spoke with. What did they say that Bill Self said at halftime that got them motivated coming out of the break?
Well, McCormick in particular, he was expressing how they had this. And after a win, I get how it's easy to say this, but there was just this resolve that they would be able to. They didn't even feel like they were down 15. Bill Self was extremely confident that they still had a shot there. And sitting right behind the Kansas bench, as I did for the entire game, I did sense when it went to the break, and Carolina had the momentum, and Kansas, had every reason to really hang its head. That was not the sense. They had a certain confidence to them. Again, it's the Big 12 regular season champions. You got Self on the sideline there. You've got Ochai Agbaji. McCormick's been having a wonderful run in the back half into this tournament. And Agbaji as well. This team, I don't think it got enough credit the entire season, and in particular in this Final Four until it won, for how much confidence it had. We saw it in the Miami Elite Eight regional final. That really was the true pivot point for this team. It was down at the half, similar to this one. And I think having gone through that experience against the Hurricanes in Chicago helped them in the spot in the title game against the Tar Heels, who had every opportunity, every chance. But then in the second half, they blew quite a few of those. It was just as much about Kansas. I don't think that Carolina wilted, Hakeem, and they choked this game away. I don't think that's remotely on the table. It is way more about Kansas playing properly, getting back in it, and taking advantage of mismatches that were there in the second half.
So you didn't see anything particular from North Carolina as they crumbled down the stretch?
I mean, some of the decision-making wasn't great. I'm not going to say they played, near flawless basketball. That's not the case. Hakeem, I just happen to think that with the way that McCormick played, Remy Martin going strong in the second half, hitting big shots. Christian Brown certainly not shy on confidence there. To me, it was more about that. Yes, Caleb Love's shot selection wasn't tremendous. You had Leaky Blackett into foul trouble. That didn't help them quite clearly. And Armando Bacot played through the pain and did about as good of a job as you could have asked him to, all things considered. He didn't have one of his best games, but he certainly gave it a go. And again, for him to twist that ankle right down the stretch, you kind of felt in that moment Carolina's shot might be gone. But again, they did have a chance. That they had the ball in their hands with time expiring. It just didn't fall their way. We were treated to yet another tremendous national title game in the Superdome. Something about the city. Every single time we get a pretty good one, if not a great one.
Yeah, it was certainly memorable indeed as Kansas pulls off the largest comeback in national title game history as Bill Self earns his second national championship as a head coach, his first since 2008. And that, of course, was historic, and that was memorable, and that was dramatic, and so is this one. What does this title mean for Bill Self?
Well, he's the first Kansas coach to win multiple NCAA tournament championships, which is obviously extremely impressive, if not a little surprising given the program that he coaches at, that there's never been a man to win at least two. But it does elevate him into a new class. Again, in the contemporary sense, Bill Self in the context of college basketball has been regarded as among the elites. But for me, This is a case where if you are elite at what you do, no matter the field, no matter what you do, if you are elite, then it will eventually pay off and you will reap those rewards. Now, I completely understand people that are anti-Kansas. There is NCAA sanctions that are looming, oh, by the way, and I think that we will get word on those sanctions sooner than later. I don't think we're going to get to the preseason before we learn that. So this does come with an interesting backdrop there, but in the context of Self actually coaching this team to a national championship, he does get his second. This group is not under NCAA scrutiny. I don't expect that this national championship will eventually be vacated. I don't think something like that's on the table because the stuff that Kansas is up for scrutiny with is years ago, not this group. So Self will keep that second title, I would expect, and it puts him into rare company. A coach with multiple national championships, Naismith Hall of Fame level coach, obviously, and it'll be interesting to see where Self's career goes from here with this, what's coming down the pike with the NCAA. He's 58 years old. How much longer will he decide to do this? There might even be a case that Self doing this, I'm not saying he will, go out on top and step away or anything like that, but it's certainly, he's not a spring chicken. He's not like he's 47 years old. He's just won a second championship. Did it this way. I'll be interested to see where things go for Kansas in the coming months here, as they've got an uncertain future with the NCAA looming after winning, a classic championship here.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.